For Edmonton St. Albert is rising on the question of privilege raised earlier.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. It is really an honor for me to add a couple comments in support of the member for Langley, who yesterday alleged that his parliamentary privilege had been breached. The members will appreciate that this is a unique situation and an important point of privileges, and that it deals with the collective rights of all members of this House. Mr. Speaker, the member from Langley alleges that his parliamentary privilege was affected in that on March 21st, he was denied what was his expected and promised slot to deliver an SO31, also known as a member statement. The reason he states that his promised slot was removed was that the topic, quote, was not approved, unquote. I am troubled by this turn of events and I believe most members believe that it's larger than what might have been the subject matter of that SO31. So I suggest that all members of this House should be troubled by the turn of events last Thursday. SO31 reads as follows. A member may be recognized under the provisions of Standing Order 30 sub 5 to make a statement of not more than 1 minute. The Speaker, and I underscore, the Speaker may order a member to resume his or her seat if, in the opinion of the Speaker, improper use is made of the standing order. So according to the rule, it is clear that the Speaker, and only the Speaker, can order a member to resume his or her seat if the member's statement is over 1 minute or is improper for some other reason. Denying an SO31, according to the words of the standing order, is the exclusive prerogative of the Speaker. No other member of this House has the authority, delegated or otherwise, to deny a private member the opportunity to make a member statement. And when member statements were first introduced in the SO31 in 1983, then Speaker Sauvé stated on January 12, 1983, that this period was intended to provide members with an opportunity, quote, to voice serious issues of international, national, or local concern. And Mr. Speaker, although the SO31 came into force in 1982, its genesis is in a rule which existed in this House from Confederation until approximately 1940. The practice was that members could seek unanimous consent of the House to move a motion without notice. Unanimous consent was almost always given, and was so routinely given that the House had to eventually restrict it to, quote, matters of urgent and pressing necessity, unquote. However, this matters of urgent and pressing necessity prerequisite was so routinely ignored, and so many members were rising, that more formal rules were considered and adopted. So in 1982, a special procedure committee concluded, and I quote, that the standing order that I'm referring to, 31, is used for the purpose for which it was never intended, and they opted for the former practice requiring unanimous consent was used for purposes for which it was never intended, and they opted for a new standing order that would become Standing Order 31, which would enable members to make statements on current issues on a daily basis during the first 15 minutes of the sitting. Previous speakers have been guided by a number of well-defined prohibitions. On January 17, 1983, when introducing statements by members, then Speaker Sauvé stated, firstly, that members may speak on any matter of concern and not necessarily on urgent matters only. That personal attacks are not permitted, and that congratulatory messages, recitations of poetry, and frivolous matters are all out of order. Yeah, perhaps the member for London West should be reminded of it. But Marleau and Montpetit stated 363 that these guidelines are still in place today, although speakers tend to turn a blind eye to the latter restrictions. So, Mr. Speaker, nowhere in the standing orders or in the enunciated guidelines do the member statements need to be vetted by any other member or any other committee of members. But since 1983, additional restrictions have been placed on member statements by the previous occupants of your chair. Subsequent speakers have ordered members to retake their seats when offensive language has been used, when a senator has been attacked, when the actions of the Senate has been criticized, when the ruling of a court has been criticized, and if the character of a judge has been attacked. Now, it is true that certain practices, customs, have evolved to provide some order and predictability to the 15 minutes prior to question period. And it is true that it is written in the commentary In according members the opportunity to participate in this period, the chair is guided, use the word deliberately, guided, by lists provided by the whips of the various parties and attempts to recognize those members supporting the government and those members in opposition on an equitable